Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the warm welcome. Let me start by saying something simple, but profound. Life happens to us all. The rain falls on the just and the unjust. Things get taken, people walk away, money disappears, opportunities slip through our fingers. And sometimes, it just doesn't make sense. But here's a key idea I want you to remember today. What was taken from you doesn't mark the end. It's just the setup. Because God is a master restorer. Main speech now. I'm not talking about luck, and I'm not talking about some vague hope. I'm talking about divine restoration. The kind that says, what the enemy meant for harm, God will turn for good. That's not just scripture. That's strategy. That's mindset. That's how champions think. Let me ask you something. Have you ever lost something you worked hard for? Maybe a job, a relationship, your health, a dream. And you thought, that's it. It's over. But here's the truth. God does not subtract without the intention to multiply. Let me say that again. God does not subtract without the intention to multiply. See, when life takes something from you, don't just sit in sorrow. Stand in expectation. It's not over because it's missing. It's not over because it hurts. It's over when you stop believing that restoration is possible. Jim Rohn used to say, don't ask for things to be easier, ask for you to be better. And I'll add this, when things are taken, don't just ask to get it back. Ask to be prepared for the better version God wants to give you. That's what growth is. That's what trust is. That's what faith does. It doesn't just cry over the broken pieces, it builds again. With a blueprint from heaven. Now let me give you 3 truths you can take with you. What was taken wasn't random. It was allowed for a reason. If it broke you, it was building you. If it left, it was making room. If it ended, it was preparing you for a better beginning. God never restores things to the way they were. He restores them better. Job didn't get back the same life. He got back double. That's God's math. Not just equal, but exceedingly, abundantly more. You are not waiting on God. God is waiting on your belief. When you shift your attitude from, I lost, to, I'm about to receive, the whole atmosphere changes. Your thinking changes. Your life changes. Have you ever had something taken from you? I don't mean just a bad day. I mean something real. Something that mattered. A relationship you gave your heart to. A job you counted on. A dream you worked for. And then, it was gone. Maybe you didn't even see it coming. One day you had it. The next, it slipped through your fingers. And the worst part, you thought it would last. You believed it was meant to be. I've been there, friends. I know what it feels like to look at the empty space where something used to be and wonder if anything good could ever fill it again. But let me tell you what I've learned. Just because it was taken doesn't mean it's over. In fact, in God's economy, loss is often just the first step toward restoration. And not just restoration to the same place, but to a better place. You see, life has a way of subtracting. The rain falls on the just and the unjust. We don't always get to control what leaves. But we do get to choose how we respond. Jim Rohn used to say, it's not what happens that determines the quality of your life. It's what you do about what happens. And here's what I'd like you to do. Believe again. Hope again. Expect again. Because what was taken is not the end of your story. It's the setup for something greater. Sometimes God allows things to be removed. Not to punish you, but to prepare you. Maybe you were holding onto something too small. Maybe that chapter was done. Or maybe, just maybe, God needed to create space so He could give you more. I've seen it happen. A man loses his job and finds his calling. A woman walks through heartbreak and discovers her purpose. A dream dies and a bigger one is born. Listen, God sees what was taken. He knows what it cost you. He's not blind to your loss. But He is also the God of restoration, the God of comeback. The God who gives back better than before. So don't give up. Don't settle. And don't curse the season you're in. Because if you stay faithful, stay teachable, and keep your heart open, God will give you back what was taken. Pressed down, shaken together, running over. And when it returns, you'll look back and sigh, thank God I lost that, because what I gained was worth far more. Stay encouraged. The best is yet to come. God never allows subtraction without planning multiplication. Let me share with you a powerful principle that will change how you see your losses and setbacks forever. God never allows subtraction without planning multiplication. Think about that for a moment. When something is taken from your life, whether it's a relationship, a job, a dream, or even peace of mind, it's not random. It's not a punishment. It's not a cruel twist of fate. No, it's part of a divine plan. You see, the universe, God, doesn't work like the world. The world subtracts, and that's the end of the story. But God subtracts so he can multiply. When life takes away something, it's setting the stage for something bigger and better to come. Have you ever noticed how sometimes when you lose one opportunity, 100 more appear? Or how, when you let go of what's comfortable, you make room for growth you never thought possible? That's multiplication at work. Jim Rohn often taught that success is about philosophy and attitude. He said, "Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better." And that includes being better prepared for what God is about to multiply in your life. It's easy to feel defeated when something is taken away. But the truth is, what was lost is just the seed of your next breakthrough. When you understand this principle, you begin to see setbacks not as dead ends, but as launching pads. If God allowed something to be taken, he has already prepared a multiplication waiting to unfold. Look at the natural world. A seed must be buried and lost in the soil before it multiplies into a tree that bears hundreds of fruits. Your losses are like that seed. They may feel like the end, but they are actually the beginning of growth. So when your dreams are taken away, don't despair. When your plans get disrupted, don't quit. When you face loss, don't lose faith. Remember, God doesn't subtract to diminish you. He subtracts to increase you. And this is why you must stay patient and stay positive. Because the multiplication is coming. The restoration won't just replace what was lost, it will exceed it. God's math isn't the same as ours. While we think in terms of addition or subtraction, God thinks in terms of multiplication and exponential growth. So the next time something is taken from you, remind yourself, this is not the end. This is the setup for multiplication. Prepare yourself to receive more than you ever imagined. Your loss is God's opportunity. Stay faithful, stay focused, because God never subtracts without multiplying, and what he gives back will be pressed down, shaken together, and running over. I've had doors slam shut in my face. I want to start by being real with you. Because sometimes the greatest motivation comes from honest experience. I've had doors slam shut in my face. I've had opportunities I thought were sure things slip right through my fingers. I've lost people I cared about, and I've walked away from dreams I once held tight, thinking that maybe it was all over. I've been in seasons where all I had was faith, and faith felt like the smallest thing in the world. I know what it feels like to wonder, why me? Why now? Why this loss? But here's what I've learned on that journey: God gave it back. And not just gave it back the way it was. God gave it back better. That's the secret. You see, loss is not the final chapter. It's the pause before a comeback. It's the silence before a symphony. Jim Rohn taught us that. Don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better. And I believe that's exactly what happens in these moments of loss. We get better. We grow stronger. We develop resilience. And here's the best part: God doesn't just restore what was taken. He multiplies it. Think about Job in the Bible. He lost everything. His family, his wealth, his health. But God gave him back double what he had before. That's not just restoration. That's divine multiplication. So when you're feeling empty, when your heart feels heavy, when you're questioning if the pain will ever end. And remember this, God is working behind the scenes. He's preparing something greater than what was lost. He's turning your setback into a setup for your comeback. Your loss isn't the end of the story. It's the foundation for something better. And I want you to know that your faith is the key to unlocking that restoration. If you stay faithful in the dark, the light will come. If you keep believing when it's hard, breakthrough is on the horizon. If you hold on to hope, even when hope feels impossible, you're already winning. So, don't give up on what was taken. Don't give up on your dreams. And don't give up on yourself. Because God gave it back to me, and He will give it back to you too. Better, stronger, and greater than before. The best is coming. Stay ready. I will restore the years the locusts have eaten. There's a powerful promise in the Bible that speaks straight to the heart of anyone who has ever experienced loss, disappointment, or setback. In the book of Joel, God says, I will restore to you the years the locusts have eaten. Now, think about that for a moment. The locusts weren't nibbling at just a few leaves here and there. They were devouring entire crops, leaving fields barren, eating up the fruit of hard work and patient waiting. Imagine the heartbreak of standing in a field where you planted seeds, watered the soil, and hoped for a harvest, only to find it completely stripped away. That's the feeling many of us know too well when something precious is taken from us. But God's promise isn't just about restoration. It's about recovery on a grand scale. He doesn't say, I'll give you back a little bit. He says, I will restore the years. That means time lost, dreams deferred, opportunities missed, pain endured. All of it can be redeemed. This promise gives us hope because it shows us that loss isn't final in God's economy. It's not just about the things taken away. It's about the moments and the years. God can restore not only what's lost, but also the time, the growth, and the potential that feels gone forever. This is the power of faith and the reason why you should never give up. Jim Rohn used to say, time is more valuable than money. You can get more money, but you cannot get more time. But here's the good news, God can restore even your lost time. That means your season of pain is not wasted. Your season of loss is not empty. It's being rewritten. And the story isn't over. When you understand this promise, you stop seeing your setbacks as dead ends. You start seeing them as setups for God's restoration. You begin to believe that your future can be brighter than your past was beautiful. That's hope. That's faith. That's why you keep moving forward, even when it hurts, even when the road looks long and the future uncertain. Because God's promise stands firm. He will restore the years the locusts have eaten, and when He does, you will find that what was lost will return, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. So hold on, keep believing, keep trusting, your restoration is coming. The best days of your life aren't behind you. They're ahead. What if your biggest setback isn't a punishment? It's a setup. What if I told you that your biggest setback, the loss, the failure, the heartbreak, wasn't a punishment, but a setup? What if what you thought was the end of your story was actually the beginning of your greatest chapter? Think about that for a moment. When something is taken from you, whether it's a job, a relationship, a dream, or even your peace of mind, it's easy to feel defeated. It's natural to ask, why me? And wonder if you'll ever recover. But here's the truth, your setbacks are not the final word on your life. They're the stepping stones. Jim Rohn used to say, don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. And that's the mindset that turns setbacks into setups. Every setback you face is a chance to grow stronger, wiser, and more prepared for what's coming next. Sometimes, life removes something from you not to punish you, but to clear the way for something better. I want you to imagine a door closing in your life. You might be tempted to stand there and stare at it, trying to force it open again. But what if that door is closing to send you to a bigger, better door? What if the loss you're experiencing now is God's way of saying, I have something greater for you, if you're willing to let go of what's behind? This is where faith comes in. It's easy to believe when everything is going well. But faith is believing when the door closes, when the future looks uncertain. It's trusting that the loss is not the end of your story. It's the prologue to a comeback. Look at the greatest success stories. Most of them started with failure, loss, or disappointment. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. Oprah Winfrey faced rejection before becoming a media giant. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team before becoming the greatest player in history. They understood the power of the setup. Your setback is not your sentence. It's your springboard. God doesn't just give back what was taken. He gives back more, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. So instead of mourning what you lost, start preparing for what you're about to receive. Instead of dwelling on the closed door, start looking for the one God is about to open. Because what looks like an ending could be your new beginning. Your biggest setback isn't a punishment. It's a setup. And if you can embrace that truth, you will find strength to keep moving forward, courage to keep believing, and hope that refuses to be extinguished. Remember, the best days of your life aren't behind you. They're waiting just ahead. So stand tall. Keep your eyes on the horizon. Your comeback story is already being written,